Hello, and welcome to another Health Essentials podcast. I'm John Horton, your host. Ever feel like there's a tight band wrapped around your head that's squeezing so tight your skull might explode? That's a tension headache, and it's the most common cause of cranium pain. These types of headaches can come and go quickly, or they might linger for weeks. But there are ways to end or prevent the aching, and we're going to share them with you today. Our guide to relief is chiropractor Andrew Bang, a frequent guest on the podcast. He is one of the many experts at Cleveland Clinic who visit us weekly to address your health concerns. So let's learn more about what causes tension headaches and how we might be able to stop them. Dr. Bang, thank you so much for joining us again. Make sure you get your guest card punched. I think you might be eligible for like a free t-shirt or something by now.
Do you think I could exchange that for a gas card?
Yeah.
Gas prices are crazy right now.
We'll have to look and see what we've got in the cupboard there, but we'll see what we can do.
Oh, thanks, man.
So you're with us here today to talk about tension headaches. Kind of that pain in the skull that we've all probably dealt with at one time or another. To be honest, it just hurts thinking about it.
Oh, yeah, totally. I mean, I see these all the time in my office. In fact, tension headaches are the most common headache that anyone will experience. It's most classified as a tight band. Think of it like a crown around your head or a baseball cap around your head. And we're all getting ready for the opening of baseball season. So think of that tight band like a baseball cap around your head, and it wraps down into the neck and shoulders a lot of times. They're awful. They really disrupt your life, and they can come on to anybody.
Yeah. Well, that's why you always adjust that cap, so that way it doesn't do that, so you don't force it on yourself.
That's right. Yeah. There's lots of things you can do to force it on yourself, and a lot of things you can do to not even experience them.
Now I know that these tension headaches often seem to come out of nowhere, but I'm guessing that they're not so random.
Yeah.
What are some of the most common triggers that kind of bring them on?
Well, there's like four major groups of triggers that happen. Emotional stress is a huge one. And this can be anything from like mental fatigue. You've just been working a long day, really stressful news at home or work in your personal life that brings like tension into it.
Yeah, I've been there a few times.
Yeah, I think we've all experienced that. There's like the environmental factor. This could be like you haven't had your morning cup of coffee, or you're trying to go off coffee for like a cleanse or something like that. Or even sometimes even after you had a lot of alcohol and you're coming off of that will bring on tension headaches. Even things you are more in control of, like your sleep, like you're not planning ahead and so you're not getting enough sleep. Those are bringing on tension headaches. And then there's the really most common one is muscular tightness. This could be like you're doing a lot of overhead work, or if you're stuck in one position for a super long time, like a long drive, or you're grinding out a paper for work or for school, and you're just stuck in one place and the muscles are constantly firing, you're not giving them a break, that can bring on tension headaches and like tension throughout that area.
Yeah, that makes total sense. And I have to say, after hearing all of that, I get the sense that folks can limit their chances of getting a tension headache if they do certain things.
Oh, for sure.
So let's kind of start with some things that folks can do just to kind of maybe limit their chances of getting these tension headaches, or I guess maybe even stop them in the moment.
Yeah.
So where do you think we should start here?
Let's start with like what we do the most. So let's start with some basic like sleep, because we talked about how lack of sleep, but also position of sleep. I'm a chiropractor by nature. I'm physical. Think of physical medicine. Anything that involves like muscles, joints, movement. That's like what I'm really specialized. So let's focus on those things. I can give the most tips for that.
All right, good place to start.
Good place. Instead of just thinking about the quantity of hours, which is really important, right? Making sure you're getting roughly 8. Some people it's plus or minus an hour, but we got to get close to that. Let's talk about positioning. So a big one is stomach sleeping. That can put a ton of tension on your neck because you got to turn left or right. Most of us who stomach sleep still use a pillow. So now your head is like cranked backwards and to the side for a long period of time. Put a lot of tension on one side of the neck versus the other. That can bring on the tension headache. So when you kind of research like what's the optimal sleeping positions, one of them is like sleeping on your low back with like something under your knees. and the right size of pillow, right? You're trying to fill the space, not do 2 or 3 pillows where your neck is now flexed forward too much. And then the next position we talk about is sleeping on your side. And when you sleep on your side, you're trying to avoid like the fetal position where you're like super curled up like a C.
Which I think is what we all naturally do.
For sure. I mean, like I look at my own kids when I tuck them in at night or go check on them. They're all over the place.
Yeah.
But like as adults, we get a little bit more in control of sleep. They've done some cool research studies on that. Because if you think, oh, I can't change how I sleep, well, you can. It does take some work. But if you consistently reposition yourself whenever you're conscious, like you got to wake up, use the restroom, or right as you're going to sleep, you putting yourself in that position will start to train your body. That's a normal sleep position you want to be in. So when you're on your back, we said is good, and then on your side is good. Just when you lay down, imagine yourself down like if you were like trying to be neutral in your spine. Like it has an S curve, so we don't want to be perfectly straight, but you got to think of you don't want your chin resting on your chest when you're sleeping on your side, right? You don't want your knees totally curled up into your chest either. So you want to bring your like knees down so your legs are almost straight, so that makes your nice normal low back curve, and then your head kind of. I oftentimes I sleep on my side, so I oftentimes like lift up my head like I'm looking straight ahead of myself, then lay it on the side of my pillow, so it's aligned.
All right. Well, I know I'm my back sleeper, so it sounds like I'm in a good spot. One pillow. I'm finally doing something right. So this is most of the time I always find out what I'm doing wrong on these.
Gold star for John. Someone give him one.
Yeah, and the nice thing with that is that's something you can do, and you don't even need to be awake while you do it. So that's a great first tip. Kind of adjust your sleeping position. Since we're talking about positioning, I'm guessing your posture the rest of the day can also play a big role in whether these tension headaches show up.
Exactly. So like we said, we're going to focus on what you do the most. So we spend 7 or 8 hours of sleep. What's the next thing we do the most? It's typically our job. Okay. And the biggest thing I see when I got into practice, I thought, John, I would see like carpenters and landscapers. And that would be like the bulk of my patients, right? Physically active jobs. And yes, I do see those. But funny or not, I see the more of the office, the desk jockey who's constantly sitting all day long. And so whenever you do some activity repeatedly for a long period of time, that's when you're going to run into issues. And that's what brings on things like tension headaches. So no matter the job you have, whether it's sedentary or active, if you do a repetitive action or motion or stay in one position, you're going to run into problems. And so, so like, let's focus in on the desk jockey right now. Cause that's, I know what you and I get quite a bit of that. I do a lot of notes.
Yeah, a lot of time at the desk here. So how should I be sitting to make sure that I'm not bringing on one of those tension headaches? Despite the work bringing it on sometimes.
So let's talk about like your legs and feet first. So we always think, what do we put our joint into the most like neutral plane of motion? So most of our joints have anywhere from like 100 degrees to 180 degrees of range of motion. And so we want to put that like kind of in the middle. So we think like the 90 degrees, right? That's a good rule of thumb. Meaning like my feet are resting either on the floor or a box or a stool, depending on how like tall I am. So I'm pretty dang tall, so I don't need a box. But if you're like, 5'5" or younger or younger, 5'5" or shorter, you may need a
vertically
stool.
challenged.
Vertically challenged. Let's be correct about that. Yes. Because your chair might be so created for someone my size, but you can't always replace your chair. Those are expensive. So you bring in free solutions or inexpensive solutions so that your knees, hips, and ankles can all be in that kind of like 90-90 position. Then that allows your back to kind of rest up against the chair. A lot of people say, well, do I need a lumbar support pillow? Well, lumbar support in general is supposed to be like a reminder of where you're supposed to be, right? If I lean away from that lumbar support, it pushes me too far forward, which is uncomfortable. So like that pillow is a great reminder to kind of help you sit up straight and tall where your chest opens up and your head is more in a neutral posture. Okay. So then your spine is sitting in its normal S curve the way it's supposed to be with your head and shoulders kind of aligned. Like the biggest thing I think we run into is like where our head stoops forward. We've all done this,
Yeah. Oh, as the day goes on, you can almost feel it. Okay, it starts to droop, your shoulders start to hunch. You kind of get that, just
you get fatigue,
kind of beaten down. Yeah, that fatigued feel. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, John, that's what you want to remember is no matter what job you have, whether you're a desk jockey or landscaper, anytime you do something repetitively, you're going to get fatigued. So you got to create some sort of like break in that routine so that those muscles that are working really hard can take a break. So that's why like the sitting standing desk combination is amazing.
Now, I'm amazed that as we're talking this through, because we're talking about tension headaches here, that like you basically have to start thinking about things from your feet on up in order to stop these headaches from hitting.
No, you really do. Because if let's say I sit really poorly in my low back, that's going to force me to pitch my neck forward. Or let's say I lean to my right or left constantly throughout the day and like rest my chin on my hand. My low back's like in a curved position in the wrong direction. That's going to create muscle tightness. Then I'm going to try to recoup that muscle tightness by leaning the other way. And then you're just like fighting yourself all day and running into issues. Yeah. So like the creating the opportunity for movement is huge. Yes, taking breaks is really important, which are also being decreased simply because if you work at home, how far does it take you to walk to the restroom? It's like 10 steps, where if you're in an office workplace, you could be walking 50, 100, 200 steps just to get to the restroom, which was actually good. Yes, it was
Yeah.
decreased productivity, but probably increased productivity because you got moving a little bit. Your blood pressure went back up to a normal rate because you're moving. You think a little more clearly. And we don't even maybe get up as much for water anymore because everyone has those giant water bottles. How big's your water bottle, John?
No, I stick with my pint glass, so
There you go.
I'm in good shape. I have to keep getting up and going to get more.
I have a teenager. He's carrying like this monstrous, I don't even know. It's like half a gallon of water. I'm like,
I know so much of this is how you're positioned and then what it does to your head. And I know on a previous podcast, you mentioned like your head think of it like a bowling ball. So when you pitch forward a little bit, it throws everything off.
oh yeah, there's some great studies on that, and you can look it up really simply to find out like what happens to my head as it goes forward. Yeah, that's crazy. It goes from that 10-pound bowling ball to where if you're looking down like 30 degrees, it's almost 50 pounds of pressure, 45, 50 pounds of pressure on your head and neck. That's crazy. Which if you did that for a minute or two, that's not a big deal. But the fact is we don't. We get lost in a project or lost in a something, and then before you know it, you've been down there for an hour, and no wonder your neck hurts and you have a tension headache.
So all right. So when we're in the spot and we kind of naturally get to this sort of position where the head kind of pitches forward, you can feel it.
Yeah.
You get those tight muscles in your neck and shoulders. You always have great tips here. What are a few just kind of simple stretches we can do sitting at our desk to kind of work out those kinks and get everything loosened up and back where it should be?
Good. Okay, so I'm glad you asked that. I think the first rule of thumb is what I keep kind of hammering today on this podcast is motion. I had this patient years ago when I first started practice. She said, "Motion is lotion." I stole it from her. I wish I could give her credit. I can't remember her name, but it's so true. It's funny, but it's like so true. So you can't just be stuck in one spot, man. You've got to move. You gotta get the full range of motion of your neck. Because okay, let's say, John, one of my favorite neck stretches is so simple. You with your like left hand, grab the side of your chair, lean your body as far as you can to the right, and then you feel the tension all the way through your
Oh,
head,
it
neck.
just cracked.
There you go.
I don't know if the mic caught that.
So that's the wrong type of podcast today, John. We're not doing that one. No, but so like you laterally flex your head so your like ears touching your shoulder while you're holding the chair.
Okay.
It's so easy. The thing is that only covers the side motion of your neck, right? And so what you can never go wrong with is moving your joint through its full degree of range of motion. So yes, I could sit and stretch side to side, but like I saw you doing, you rotated your neck. So then take your neck as far as you can right, as far as you can left, as far as you can down, as far as you can up. And when you work through the full ranges of motion, you re-lubricate the full joint. You also cause a release in the tension of all the muscles that kind of work the neck and shoulders, right? When you're moving your neck through its full degree of range of motion. And the same is true for like your back or your shoulder or your wrist. Like this is huge when we're sitting so much. Like now you got to worry about, well, what's my wrist doing? Am I getting carpal tunnel from this? Da 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 da. Like there's a million different things when it comes to me getting stuck in my work position that's going to cause musculoskeletal pain, including tension headaches.
Yeah, you brought those things up, and I feel like those are movements we kind of naturally do when you feel your neck getting a little tight. I mean, you do that. You look back and forth and side to side and rotate it around. So just like every so often, taking a few seconds and doing that is enough to kind of keep your neck feeling good and maybe keep those tension headaches away.
Oh, yes, yes, kind of. So I saw you do it again. Like I'm sorry, you if you're listening, you can't see what John's doing, but I can. So he did do like a little side to side and a little right and left rotation. The thing is, I don't think we take it to its like full potential. You just kind of roll your head once or twice and think you're good, but actually go as far as your body will let you to the right. And then you want to give yourself at least a 10 to 20-second hold, like in that direction, then go other, right? Forward, go back, get to the full range you can get. Because once you sit there for about 5 seconds, you'll notice, oh, I can go a little further. And then the extra next five, oh, a little further. And by the end of that 20, you've gone much farther than when you started, right?
Okay,
And
so
yes,
push yourself a little bit as you're doing it, and really try to get a
yeah,
deep stretch on your neck.
yeah, that full range that joint, whichever joint it is, allows you to get without pain, go to it. And then is stretching the only thing you should do? No, in fact, let's say you stretch, John, and you're like, man, I still feel like crap or my neck still hurts. Sometimes you got to activate that muscle because it's been sitting so long, it's just stretched out already too much. And so then it's like activating the muscle through some easy things like that's called isometrics, where you can like literally, push your head into your hand and create like muscle contraction, but you're not creating a lot of movement. Or you could pop on the floor and do some push-ups or do some squats or wall sits really simply to kind of activate the muscle that's hurting. So yeah, if the stretch doesn't feel good, doesn't fix your problem, activate the muscle through any kind of exercise or contraction. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And what about like shoulders? We kind of focused on the neck here. The
Yeah.
shoulders, what kind of things can we do just to kind of loosen those up a little?
Yeah, so back to the using your chair, your office chair as a help. If you will hold the office chair, let's say reach down with your right hand, grab the side of the office chair. When you lean to the left, you'll feel that trap stretch really good. And then you can kind of do a stretch slash exercise at the same time, but now contracting the trap like you're trying to pull up the seat of your chair, but it's not going anywhere, right? And you're
Oh,
just like
yeah. No, you totally
stretching.
feel that.
Yeah,
Right. Grab the bottom and kind of like lean to the one side. And you totally feel it right up there with your trapezoid, right?
exactly. And so you're constant, like you're stretching it and you're tightening it and you're relaxing. And that allows blood to come back through it. Then you tighten it again and you kind of squeeze the blood out. Then you relax and more comes in. So you're turning over our blood carries oxygen to the cells of the muscle. And so then you're like forcing more blood to get in there because you're contracting it and relaxing it. It's super easy, super effective. If it's just a matter of reminding yourself to do it. So
I already feel better every time I'm on with you. You always bring up these things, and I do them as we're talking about them. And I end the podcast feeling loose and good. So
maybe we should meet up for lunch someday.
yeah.
I can actually show you what a real treatment feels like.
Now we've gone over a few massages here or a few stretches here. I want folks to know if you look in the comments here or in the
Yeah.
links, we're going to try to post a link to a video of Dr. Bang going through some stretches that you can try. So you can
Yeah.
kind of do that when you're done listening to the rest of this conversation. So we talked about some stretches. What about massages? I mean, those always seem good for working out a few kinks. Is that something we should kind of maybe look to kind of reduce tension headaches?
Who doesn't love an amazing massage? And there's some pretty cool science that shows why massage feels good. When you do manual massage over muscles, you release your natural endorphins and enkephalins. Those are like your painkillers that you naturally produce on your own. It decreases mental fatigue and stress. So, like if it's super stressful day at work or like you've had these events you're planning for, they actually decrease that stress, which helps with tension headaches. The cool thing is yes, you can run out to a massage therapy office or a person or clinic or whatever, but there's some really cool things you can use on your own to create some of that relief. Have you heard of like a massage cane before?
No, but it sounds it
Okay.
sounds like something I need now. Yeah.
It's like these, a lot of companies make them. So if you just get on a website, any kind of big website to search for things and hit massage cane, they'll look like a big hook, like a plastic hook with some knobs on some different portions of this hook. And this hook allows you to push the ball into like a tight muscle. And then using your arms, you're holding the cane, the massage cane, you're like pulling down, and you can push into those muscles that get really tense from sitting all day at work or other jobs that you have that create a lot of muscle tension. And they work great in the neck, shoulders, low back, other parts of your body. They're amazing. Foam rollers are another really easy thing that you can do to relieve a lot of stress in your mid back, which can sometimes contribute to that. And those are like a big tube of foam that you can sit and roll your muscles on, whether it's your chest, your lower back, legs. Have you used one of those before, John?
I love mine.
Yeah, they're amazing. There's some really cool things called they're like a chirp wheel, and I'm not trying to push that company, but that concept. It's the same idea as that foam roller, but it's a little smaller, puts a little more pressure onto the spine or other muscles, which is great. And then there's just a lot of self massage. Literally, you can just take your own hand, just pulling and pushing tension on your own muscles is a great way to create some self massage. Doesn't feel as good as when someone else is doing it, but it's definitely something you should consider doing if you're getting a tension headache. Take your thumb and along the base of your skull, there's called the suboccipital muscles. If you just jam your thumb up in there and just rest your head back onto it, it kind of hurts in the moment, but you're pushing out again that old blood. You're allowing new blood to return to that space. You're pushing out some metabolites that build up as you use a muscle. Massage is fantastic. I can't say enough about it.
What about just a simple temple rub? Because I think that's the one thing. You get a headache and you instantly go up there and you start rubbing away. Does that actually work, or do you just kind of like, does it just feel better in the moment because you feel like you're doing something?
Yes, it seems temporary because you're probably only rubbing it temporarily. But let's find, why does it actually work is the question, right? So one of the reasons we have headaches is the blood flow inside this, or not just inside the skull, but around the skull, right? You have your skin and small, tiny muscles of your face. There's blood vessels that run in and out of that. And when blood vessels expand or contract too much, that's what creates this headache sensation. Sometimes in tension headaches, that's more muscular, but in other headaches as well. So when you do rub your head and you're like, oh my gosh, that feels good, you're kind of changing the blood flow, right? You're probably squishing some of those blood vessels that are the contributor of the headache, and that blood has to go somewhere else. So it finds a blood vessel that's maybe not irritated, so it feels relieving. So you can definitely use that. In fact, I give a lot of patients who I teach how to do even some just light pressure on the skull, where they almost squeeze their own skull with their hands to create the feeling of that feeling of relief from the swelling of or the stretching of the blood vessels that causes the pain. And this is as simple as lightly squeezing on your temples, like you said, or lightly squeezing the front and back of your head. Or if you've ever had a headache, you ever pushed on your own eyes?
Yeah, because you just it feels better for some. Like, is that just because like you're putting extra pressure on kind of your head, and this whole thing with a tension headache, like we said, it feels like there's a band kind of squeezing. Is it almost like you kind of squeeze it back in and it comes back out a little bit more, and you feel slightly better?
Yes, because you're pushing those areas where the blood, the pressure is too high. You're kind of pushing on that, so it forces the blood to go other places in the skull. That's why it feels relieving in that moment. When you stop doing it, the tension can return. But if you keep doing the stretches, some slight exercises, change positions, maybe get a drink of water, maybe you're dehydrated. That's another cause of tension headaches. Pound a big giant glass of water, push on those spots. You can get tension headaches to reduce. That's the nice thing. Because they're more common, they're typically less intense than like a migraine that would cause vomiting or crazy auras with your eyes, debilitating. Tension headaches, gratefully, are one of the more milder headaches you can get. So you can actually work through them quite a bit by doing some of these things we've been talking about.
Well, I was going to say, let's kind of, because we've covered a lot here. So let's kind of roll through here and kind of just put together a little bit of a tension headache defense plan. And so from everything we've kind of talked about, I'm going to kind of roll through. It sounds like one, manage stress. Sounds like that's one of the key things you need to do up front.
Yep. Managing stress is easy to do by first, like even exercise and so like if you're like really stressful, you go for a 10-minute walk or even do 10 minutes of meditation. That it's crazy that the research on how little meditation you have to do to get a giant benefit is out there. It's maybe we can find a story to link into the comments for
I was
people
going
to
to tell
look.
everyone we did a fabulous podcast with Dr. Young on breathing techniques. That's exactly kind of like what
Perfect.
we're talking about. It can take you down right in the moment. So, all right. So we're going to manage stress. You went over adjusting how you sleep, kind of look to get into that better position where you're not kind of wrenching your spine and getting your neck
Yes.
all kooky. And you made it sound like back sleeping is probably the best. And if you're on your side, kind of keep it a little straight. Don't curl up into that fetal position.
Yep. Perfect.
This we didn't cover. We kind of touched on it, I think, a little bit, but adjusting how you look at your phone, because we all spend way too many hours staring at that little device. And I think that can be a big source of kind of the building up that tension and that pressure in your head.
For sure. So as we mentioned the bowling ball scenario earlier, your head does weigh about 10 pounds. And so if you spend a lot of time using your phone, there's some easy things you can do. First, you can let's say you're right-handed. You hold your phone with your right hand. You take your left hand on your belly so you can prop your elbow and arm of your right hand. So your phone is like more straight in front of you. That's like really your best posture. Or I suppose you could use something to hold it up for you if you're using a lot, but that's not really convenient. You just got to get it up where your head is more in a neutral posture. I like using voice to text. I use it more now than I ever have because same thing. When I'm texting, it's like my chin is resting on my chest, which
It
puts
just goes
a
down,
lot
right?
of
You have that phone down, almost like in your lap, and it's like you can feel your head just go down, and you can feel the pressure it puts on your shoulders and your back.
I've loved the creation of things that are on the back of your phone. Like my daughter uses this Octopod, I think it's called. So she will stick it on her mirror while she's doing something like a tutorial of makeup or something. She's a teenager, so it makes sense. But I have on my phone like the ring where you can hold your phone a little easier up so I can view it easily and without getting hand or wrist fatigue from holding it funky because it's a weird shape.
All right.
Those are simple and easy things and effective.
Well, and that's what all these seem like. They're pretty simple and things you can do. And then we also what you mentioned, hydrating enough, exercising,
Yep.
all things we can kind of do just to keep those muscles loose and maybe keep those tension headaches away. A few things that are a little more like maybe the next step that I want to kind of touch on is whether or not they're worth pursuing. Acupuncture. Is that something that can help?
Yeah, for sure. So let's talk about in general, when do I go to a provider? That's like a physician, acupuncturist, chiropractor, physical therapist for my headaches. Because like, when do I know? And then I'll comment on the acupuncture. So it's like, if you get a tension headache or a headache in general, 1 or 2 times a month, you can probably manage that. And that's probably something you're doing that you can easily change and control. If it starts to be where you have like a weekly headache or you don't know the cause of your headaches and they start becoming even more frequent, or let's say you have like a headache that lasts 3 days. A headache can come on because of illness too. I don't even know if we talk about that. You could just be sick, right? You get a headache,
Right.
whatever, stressful day, headache. But if they become consistent, multiple in a row or more than 3 a month, you reach out to a provider. Acupuncture is fantastic. Let's say you want to try that. That's great. They use the needling to help relax the muscles. It decreases stress. It shoots out those endorphins we talked about earlier, like massage does too, to give you instant pain relief. And then there's some points that they found that they can actually use that can help with chronic headaches, which is amazing.
I'm guessing a chiropractic treatment would also be something you might recommend.
For sure. I mean, any kind of physical modality, the massage therapy, the chiropractic, the physical therapy. We're trained similarly to approach the body like as a mechanical point of view. So we stretch the muscles, we rub the muscles, we give you exercise, stretch, etc. So those are fantastic providers to see if you're getting tension headaches and you want some training on how to prevent them and how to work through them when you get one. And those 3 providers can really help with that. They have obviously unique specialties inside of that, but they're all 3 are fantastic. And then of course you have your physician, right?
Yeah. And that all makes sense. And it sounds like that's a good place to start, as you said, if you're having these problems and they're kind of persistent, they keep coming up. One thing when I was doing research that kind of jumped out at me is maybe an unusual thing that folks wouldn't think of is making sure that you do your regular dentist appointments. How does that tie into possible tension headaches?
Thanks, John. I didn't even think about that. That's so good. Okay. when you, there's some people who have a habit of clenching, and this could be while you sleep. They call it bruxism, clenching, same thing. That grinding while you sleep, or even daytime grinding, like it's like uh, when you're into a project, that might be like your stress relieving trigger is to grind. You like kind of, and or you might be a gum chewer. You love gum. That creates so much tension inside the skull and the jaw muscles that chew that can lead to tension headaches. And I have seen that. And so, you seeing a dentist, they can sometimes see, oh my goodness, you grind at night. You didn't even know it. You've tried everything to get your headaches to go away. They don't go away. You've done all the tricks and tips that we've talked about today, and they're still there. It could be your dentist say, hey, I think I see some wearing on your teeth. They can help get you set up for using a night guard. Yes, you'll still grind with the night guard, but it's not as intense because it's a plastic guard that takes some of the stress off your teeth and off your muscles as you're sleeping. And it saves your teeth too. So yes, see your dentist. If you chew a lot of gum, maybe switch to mints. And there's some triggers or easy things you can do if you're a daytime grinder. If you will take the tip of your tongue and just kind of touch it to the roof of your mouth, it forces your back teeth to open. And then that can be a trick you use, like, oh, I do grind. I just can't break that habit. Every time you become conscious of the grinding, you put your tongue up there on the roof of your mouth and you hold it there until you forget. And then that will over time slowly you'll change that habit.
These are all great tips to kind of prevent it. If you have a tension headache that hits, I think we all know the over-the-counter medicines that you can hit. We all have plenty of those in our cabinet. What about heat or cold? Are those things that we should kind of lean on, or that we could lean on to maybe kind of dull that pain?
For sure. Of the two, ice is preferred. And there's science behind that. And it does something to the blood vessels and the nerves. So the nerves that run, blood vessels and nerves are like buddies. They run right by each other. And also your lymph system. Those three kind of things are constantly together. So when you apply ice to your temples or forehead or back of your head, the superficial, that means the outer blood vessels, capillaries, nerves, they get affected by that ice or heat. The cold is great because it numbs like the nerve's ability to send signals back to the brain. So that's why you feel better when you put ice on something. Okay. And so then also it can help reduce the inflammation of those superficial vessels. So yes, put ice, back of the head, front of the head, sides of the head, whatever gives you the most relief, use that instead of heat when it comes to tension headaches.
Okay, that's good. I know we always have, with ice, you want to make sure you cover it up so you don't have ice directly on the thing. We always had kids, we used to call them boo-boo packs. Those, it looked like a bumblebee or something like that. You put it on, it was a little softer. It would kind of do the job. We've covered a ton here. And I think, if people are dealing with tension headaches, you've given them so many ways that they can maybe, prevent them or maybe kind of tamp them down a little bit in the moment. I guess just kind of final thoughts here. Let's kind of wrap things up. If you are dealing with tension headaches, it sounds like maybe the first thing you should do is kind of look at your habits and kind of how you're going through daily life. And you might see the solution to the problem in that.
For sure. Wherever you spend your most time is statistically most likely where your problem's coming from. So yeah, reevaluate your sleep and what you do for your living. And then every once in a while, it's something else. I always joke with patients, we got to look for horses, not zebras. Zebras exist. They're just not as common as you're going to see horses. So that's true within your life. And your tension headaches are coming most likely from something you do and see all the time. So adjust those, because then usually you find your solution.
All right. Well, next time I go in, I'm going to start looking at everything that's happened during my day, and I'm sure I'll be able to find the trigger. Dr. Bang, thank you yet again for coming in. And like I said, our conversations are always fun, always interesting. And I always feel like I leave with some really helpful tips that'll help me live a little better.
Good. That's what we're hoping. Thanks, John, for the opportunity. And thanks to all the listeners for following up, because it's important to take control of your health. You are really the champion of your own health.
Perfect way to wrap things up. So thanks again, Dr. Bang.
You're welcome.
Tension headaches can come and go for a variety of reasons, and many of them are under your control. If you're experiencing frequent headaches, give some of Dr. Bang's suggestions a try. It might be all you need to find relief. If you liked what you heard today, please hit the subscribe button and leave a comment to share your thoughts. Till next time, be well.